Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Rod, if you're free, I have an extra ticket to the Warriors and Oil Kings game in Moose Jaw tonight, if you want to join me. I would love to, but I can't. To quote Sammy Seafood Sam, I'm busy.
How about that?
Where's Seafood Sam? He moved to Calgary. He's busy.
Yeah.
But thank you, Glenn.
Muna.
Big shots.
Sitting up there with the Russian national coach at the press conference.
Guy ran a seafood restaurant in Saskatoon, okay? His name was Seafood Sam. That was the name of the restaurant, and the Saskatoon Blades would bring him down to coach the All-Star or the intra-squad game, and he'd start brawls. And
I remember hearing the story about Daryl Lubanicki. They told the guys, no more fights. And so all of a sudden there's a fight, and then they drop the puck, and then there's another fight, and there's another. And
he's coaching the intra-squad
One
game. Kid
had fought 3 times, so Daryl Lubanicki said, I'm going to put an end to this. And he walks around the rink, and he comes over to the kid who's had 3 fights, and he says, what is going on around here? And the kid says, that Chinese guy keeps sending me out to beat out of that. So he had to go to this Seafood Sam, who was this little 5'2" Chinese fellow who owned the local restaurant.
Seafood Sam's.
And tell him to knock it off.
No more fights.
How about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
More teams running their teams off analytics or less? Is it 50-50, 60-40? What would you say?
I'd say it's higher than 60-40. I think there are some teams out there that are hybrids. You know, you need a cross-section. You can't all be numbers, and it can't all be, blood and guts, old school baseball guys with leather necks. It has to be a combination of both.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. It's the RP Show coming in hot to a brand new week. It's episode number 1088 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio in Atlanta, podcast and YouTube Live. No Darren Moose DuPont with you. I'm coming to you from the Florida studio. And our special guest co-host just for segment 1 is Serena Taylor, also coming to you from the Florida studio. So, hey, good morning or good afternoon as it is out here, Serena Dawn. If you don't mind, just hang still. I'm going to get to your opinions right away. She's only with us for the first segment. Then we've got the Godfather, the CFL's all-time winningest coach, Wally Buono, in hour 1. Virgil Holmes from Homestead Cards and Collectibles later on in hour 1. The voice of the Stampeders, Mark Steven, in hour 2. And Jesse Granger from The Athletic Las Vegas to talk Golden Knights and Raiders. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Tuna? And we're going to jump right into our topics here today because there's a lot that I want to get to Serena about today. Number 1 point, the Toronto Blue Jays, because we'll mention baseball, then get it out of the way. They're off today after earning a 9-5 win Sunday to take a 3-game series over the Tampa Bay Rays. The Jays hold a 2-game edge now over Houston for the second American League wildcard spot. Toronto opens a 3-game home set Tuesday against the Yankees. Serena, where are you on the Blue Jays today and their playoff hopes?
Well, I go back and forth, I think, just like every other Blue Jays fan. I feel like they're going to do well, and then they start a series, and then something goes haywire. This series against the Yankees is going to be huge, though. Just like every series has been. Going to Tampa was a big one. The previous series against Boston and the Yankees, those were all big ones as well. So I'm going to say, yes, they're going to make the playoffs. But to be totally honest, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't. But I think they're kind of finding that groove. They had that slump a few weeks ago, and now they're on the upswing again.
They've had a nice last 10 days. Okay, to hockey, and let's put a disclaimer up. For those that don't already know, Serena is a staunch Edmonton Oilers fan. Therefore, she does not like the Calgary Flames nor much about Calgary. So, NHL play on Sunday. Is the NHL preseason opened on this continent. Matt Coronado scored a hat trick and added an assist as the Calgary Flames opened the preseason with a 10-0 thumping of the Vancouver Canucks. Jonathan Huberdeau had a pair of goals while Jacob Markstrom stopped all 20 shots he faced in 2 periods of action. I'm going to get to the Oilers and the Leafs and all of that. And I'm seeing the facetious comments on social media, people saying, the Stanley Cup parade's going to start on 17th Avenue, wind its way down McLeod Trail South, and blah, 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 blah. How do you feel about the Flames destroying the Vancouver Canucks 10-0 in the first game of the preseason?
Well, it's like we talked about it earlier today. Calgary played all their stars. Vancouver didn't. It's preseason. You can essentially do whatever you want. But the way I look at it is this. Calgary had a year last year that was under what they probably should have. They probably should have played a lot better. They probably should have won more games. Guys like Huberdeau should have been better performing. And I think sometimes the head coach is different, general manager is different, everything's different. That now, I think that when you do something like this, you come out hot like that, you're not doing it to make a statement to the other team. You're doing that to give your team some confidence. A guy like Huberdeau was underwhelming last year. I really thought he was going to have a much better year. And for him to get a couple of goals yesterday, that's going to do nothing but start off with a lot of confidence. You know, one of the things I like to do is I like to start every week with a bang. If I have a good start on a Monday, I'm going to have a great rest of my week. So when you kind of look at it from a sports psychology perspective, you're putting them in a situation to get some confidence right off the top. Look at Vancouver now. They know that it is what it is. It's not a regular season game, but would you want to be on a 10-0 loss in your first game of the year? Not me.
No, but I go by it one day at a time. So I'll say this, Flames fans and Flames yourselves. I hope as of now, it's 10 a.m. Mountain out there, you've already forgot about it and moved forward. One day at a time, 24-hour clock. I get it. I saw all the smiles. Ryan Huska, their head coach, is our buddy. That's all great, but forget about it because the preseason, it doesn't count, but it matters. So we'll see where they go from here. Now, there's a lot of other things I want to get to with Serena, so I'm going to fly. Cole Perfetti made quite a return in his first game since February. The 21-year-old scored the shootout winner as the Winnipeg Jets started off the preseason schedule with a 2-1 victory over the Edmonton Oilers. They'll do it again tonight in Winnipeg. In Ottawa, Tim Stützle scored twice as the Ottawa Senators defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-2 Sunday afternoon in the preseason opener for both teams. Brady Tkachuk had the other goal for the Sens. Jake Sanderson chipped in 2 assists. Anton Forsberg made 35 saves in his first game since suffering MCL tears in both knees against the Oilers last year. William Lagesson and Alex Steeves scored for Toronto, and I'll just say this, I could not be happier. The hockey season begins for me today. Doubleheader, Florida Panthers, Nashville Predators, 2 and 6 p.m. in the newly named Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise, Florida. I'll be heading there the second we get off the air. Our hockey coverage is brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast, Thursday through Saturday, 12 to 8 p.m. And check them out at commoncrownbrewing.ca. Way more football coming up with Wally Buono next segment and Mark Steven. As a matter of fact, I'm going to fly through this. I will get your thoughts on this, though, Serena. As you know, the Miami Dolphins scored the most points in a game by an NFL team since 1966. They whipped the Denver Broncos 70-20 Sunday. Tua threw 4 touchdown passes, including a no-look shovel pass. We were watching it. They had 10 touchdowns on the day. They set a franchise record for points. Serena, they could have set an NFL record if Mike McDaniel, the head coach, had elected to kick a field goal on their last drive, but he took a knee. The fans booed at Hard Rock Stadium, and he goes, I'm not about embarrassing the other team. We're not about setting records here. We're about winning. So this isn't even the poll question today, but I'll ask you, do you think they should have kicked that field goal to set an NFL record, or are you with Coach McDaniel that that's not what's important here?
If I was in his shoes, I don't know what I would do. I would kick the field goal probably. But from a fan standpoint, you went to this game. They had the opportunity. You had the opportunity to be in the stadium where a record was set, and the coach, who was already embarrassing the other team, made the decision to not do that. It makes no sense to me. The score was a blowout anyway. So that's why the fans are upset. Games here,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're paying for two people to go to a game. You're upwards of $500 to go to a football game here. So you want to get your money's worth. If you're on the verge of being in the stadium where you're going to see an NFL record, and on the last play of the game, the coach goes, I don't want to embarrass this team that I used to be a ball boy for. That's not something I would do. Having said that, I'm not in his shoes. And you and I were talking about that because of how many years ago this was. You're like, well, they didn't care in 1966. They didn't have social media and Twitter to totally trash people like they do now. So maybe it was a self-preservation thing. Not something I would have done, but.
It's a karma thing. He said he didn't want to rub it in their face. But the 2008 Western semifinal, I'm not sure if Wally Buono's tuned in here yet. Wally's going to be with us next segment, but they were kicking our butt. I was calling the Rough Riders games against the BC Lions in Taylor Field 2008, and on the last drive, they knelt. They're already killing us. Michael Bishop set a CFL record through 4 picks in the first quarter, and I was like, just put it in the end zone, Wally. Who cares? It was worse that they took a knee. It was more embarrassing. I'd rather you just got in the end zone than, you know what I mean? Now, this is what I really wanted to talk with you about. And you're semi-prepared for this because we did talk about it on the weekend. Carlos in Indianapolis has written in and he goes, oh, this is going to spark a debate. Placeline, Winnipeg. Maya Turner hopes her historic accomplishment will inspire other women who dream of kicking down barriers to play men's football at a high level. She became the first woman to play and score points in a regular season U Sports football game on Saturday. The University of Manitoba kicker made 2 field goals, including the game winner in overtime in the Bison's 27-24 victory over the University of Regina Rams at IG Field. So the poll question today, before we get to our opinions, I want yours, everybody. Our poll is brought to you by Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence, knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Should women be allowed to play men's sports? And you can vote on this anonymously. I'm just going to check the update of our Instagram poll because it's on our Instagram page at The Rod Pedersen Show. 57% on Instagram saying yes, women should be allowed to play men's sports. And before people get upset, don't get your knickers in a knot. University football is traditionally a men's sport. If you go on the website, didn't even have women's side because there isn't a women's category till now. So I'll give my thoughts in a moment. Serena, you've played sports with males, so I'd love to know your opinion on this.
So I don't know if I'm right. I have no idea. But when you have any type of youth sport, it is gender specific. It's gender specific for a reason. The CFL or the NFL or the NHL, they don't have a women's side of it. That's a different conversation right there. But youth sports are split into genders. Everybody was in a flap because there was a transgender person swimming in the female category and whatever, and it wasn't fair. And yes, men are physically a lot more, they're just stronger. They're better athletes. They carry more muscle. They're just physically capable of doing things women cannot do. It's just part of it. Do I feel that a woman should play? And no, not in that instance. That is a men's category. On the flip side, there's not a women's angle of that. But tough. Well, you can't kick a football and now the world's going to come to an end because you can't play on the men's team. Too bad. That's life. Deal with it. I don't get to go as an adult and go play with the 14 under boys hockey team and go school them because I'm a female. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, well, Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, how is this even controversial enough to warrant a poll question? Because I just read what happened. She played on the weekend. Pat in Saskatoon, where is it? She says, I voted yes, they should be allowed to play. If she wants a completion, good for her. Now the Rams are in the record book because of her. The problem I have, and you played, I think you were the only female playing with boys. What if a guy had a chance to lay her out, but he didn't? because she's a female. That's where I would say, no, they shouldn't be allowed to play with men because they could get hurt. Sorry. Anybody could get hurt, but I think a guy would lay off if he saw that he had a woman in the crosshairs, and I don't think that's right.
I would agree, but here's the thing. It's always the sexist women that are like, we're equals, we're equals. Well, physically, we're not equals. We're not. So how can you sit there and say we're equals, but yes, she should be able to play? No. You're basically saying that it's okay for a woman to play a man's sport because, good for her. Yeah, rah, rah, lady crap. But a man can't play a woman's. I don't feel like men or transgender, if you were born with certain chromosomes, you should not be able to play whatever you identify with. So she decides she's going to identify as a male. Does that mean she can play? I still don't think so, because there's a lot of weirdos out there. And basically, the way someone put it to me one time was this: if you're going to put these people in the same locker room, that makes it a whole nother discomfort level. What are you going to separate the locker rooms? Well, if she wants to play with the men, why can't she use the same locker room? It's a whole controversial thing. But again, it just funnels back to my belief that there's a reason that university sports are separated into genders. It's not like that everywhere. When I was a kid, we had 12 and under hockey. There was 3 girls that played because we didn't have anywhere else to play. It wasn't 12 and under boys. It was 12 and under. That's the difference.
So are you voting yes or no on this?
That what? That she should be able to?
Yes or no, should women be allowed to play men's sports?
Not in that instance if it's specified as a gender-specific category, just like all university sports are.
Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, but why, Serena? Maya Turner earned a spot on the team. She deserves to play. Would be much different if there was women's football in U Sports. Brett says, in Calgary, says, let's be honest, those coaches are putting their best kicker on the field to give their team the best chance to win. David in Winnipeg says, if a woman is good enough to play with men, then all the power to them. And from Wayne in BC. Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're saying if a man is good enough to play on the women's team, that should be allowed. Well, of course they're going to be good enough. You can't have it both ways. It's like I said to you, like, you can't tell me there wasn't a male kicker that was better than her. They're trying to make a statement. That's what they're doing. And that's what I hate. I was always told, never play the female card. I hate that. Don't do it.
All right, Serena. And Wayne in BC says, it must be very sunny out there in Florida, Rod. You look a little washed out, but I don't know what can be done about it. Wayne, just worry about Wayne. Don't worry about us. And it is a very nice sunny day in Florida. Serena, we've reached the end of our time. Thank you so much for this. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Roddy.
The Godfather, the GOAT, Wally Buono, the CFL's all-time leader in wins, joins us next. We are just getting rolling on the Game Plus television network, which, as you know, is available all across BC on TELUS Channel 924 and now Shaw Rogers Cable Channel 230, all across Canada and 31 U.S. states. Also on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, podcast and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, we're back. 1 second, everybody. Okay, we don't have Wally Wano, so they're working on it. And that was what I was doing, responding to his wonderful daughter, Christy, about getting Wally on here. This is the time that Wally specified he'd like to be on, so hopefully we can make that happen. It's a very busy day on the RP show, so I guess we could pick another day later in the week. The reason why we're doing it, Wally Buono, the CFL's all-time wins leader, is teamed up with the Miracle Wish Foundation? And they did a fundraiser to sit in a luxury suite at BC Place Stadium in Vancouver this Friday night for the Lions-Saskatchewan Roughriders game. And I was late getting back to Christy last week. She wanted to get him on last week. I guess the contest is now closed, but he's still going to come on and talk about it. So since the contest is closed, we got all week to get there. Interesting, by the way, and I can handle this just fine, and the way this day is going, it's probably okay, that it is just me and you for this next segment. And then coming up after that, Virgil Holmes from Homestead Cards and Collectibles about the Premier Sports Card Convention coming up, end of the month in Red Deer. Mark Steven next hour. I can handle 15 minutes on my own, believe me, after 17,000 hours logged on air of sports talk. But it's quite interesting. Our poll question today is, should women be allowed to play men's sports? And Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says, I'm surprised to see the RP show with such a political question this morning. And on one hand, because, Jeff, the Stamps fan, we're friends and you're part of the Rod Squad, you're a regular, I'm not going to argue. If you look up the definition of politics, it is anything that has anything to do with governance. And is this a political issue, per se? I guess governance of university sports or men's sports. But I knew that it would be a hot-button topic, and I knew that Serena would have her thoughts. John in Edmonton, We're aware. Looks like one of those days, John in Edmonton, where you need to back away from the keyboard and not rattle off 2,700 questions. I'll do the talking, you do the watching. That hasn't changed. 1,088 episodes into the show. David in Winnipeg says, Rod, can you ask Wally to speak to Andrew Harris's career and future Hall of Famer when he comes on? Well, yeah, if we get Wally, I would love to. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, well, it is certainly a social issue beyond sports. Yeah, it just... What's our viewership here? Is like 37% female. And sports fans, obviously, that's why they're here today, to be entertained on The View for sports fans. But, I mean, I played sports. There were very few females playing against us back in that era. There's got to be a lot more. But I just think it's unfair to ask a man at a high level, which I would suggest Canadian university football is a high level, to slow up, play differently, because there's a woman on the other team. I don't think that's fair to the men at all. And what is Maya Turner's goal? Is it to play at the highest level? Are all you sports athletes there to get to the next level? That's the unfortunate thing, and I've broadcast youth sports. A lot of them are playing sports while they're getting an education. And that's not just the women, that's the men too. But I can tell you a lot of the NCAA athletes, for sure the football players, are there to get to the NFL. So, like I say, all I'll say is I don't think it's fair to the men. Yeah, what's up? Okay, we got him. All right, thank you. We got him. Coach Buono joining us, the CFL's all-time wins leader. We got plenty of time left here with Wally in this segment. We had him. We don't have him. How about you tell me when he's ready to go? All right.
You had a phone.
Thank you, Wally. Happy Monday, Wally. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. Good morning, guys. Sorry about the confusion. I thought it was going to be at 10, and I was on a call. One of the volunteers that we were very close with just passed away in Mexico, and we were just trying to find out about his, his funeral arrangements and stuff. So sorry about that.
I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that, Wally, but no problem in terms of the timing. Look, there's a lot of things that we'll get to here, and we'll talk about your fundraiser in a moment. But I would love your take on this. Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins coach yesterday, takes a knee on the last possession to end it at 70 points. They kicked the field goal. They set an NFL record with 73. And after he was booed by his own fans for not going after the NFL record, it ended up being a franchise record. How do you feel about that? He said afterwards, I'm not here to set records. We'd already embarrassed them. How do you feel about Coach McDaniel? What would you have done?
Well, you know what? You got to look at the game. Kicking a field goal, if it's the last play of the game, is that necessary? Does it do anything other than put the players in jeopardy? And if it was to put the players in jeopardy, I would take a knee. Okay? So to set a record, as he said, nobody really cares about that. But I think, you got to care about what you're saying. And by taking a knee, you're saying player safety comes first. And in any sport that's violent, whether it's football or anything else, player safety, if it comes first, you got to show it. And by doing that, I think he showed where his priorities were.
2008 CFL Western semifinal. You were there. I was there. BC at Sask. You might remember, Wally, Michael Bishop threw 4 interceptions in the first quarter for Sask. Ken Miller cut him that night. You guys took a knee on the last possession. You were you weren't rubbing it into the Riders. You didn't want to rub it into the Riders. Was that a player safety thing, or was that a humility thing? Because I remember just saying, just put it in the end zone, Wally. End it. Do you remember that?
Well, again, the thing is, you got to take sometimes the game, and every individual game, every individual scenario has its own, outcome, and you can't say, I'm going to do this every time. A good example was the, do I punt or kick a field goal a couple of weeks ago? when Coach Dice kicked the field goal. Okay. When you're there in the moment, in the second, you got about 20, maybe 10 seconds to make a decision. You got to make a decision that you think is best in the moment. Okay. So to have a carte blanche answer is tough. But I do believe that McDaniel, at that point, there was nothing to prove. There was nothing to do. And, the priority is, the player safety. I've always believed you play for 60 minutes, but, there's things you do sometimes to mitigate any chance of injury.
Yeah, well, I didn't bring you on to talk about the Dolphins, but I will say this. 8.24 yards.
When I saw it yesterday, I almost fell off my chair. Okay.
Well, they're 3-0. They're averaging
in practice if there's nobody on the field.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, they're averaging 8.24 yards per down. That's not passing. That's not running. That's average offense. 8.24 yards per down on offense. What do you think about that?
Well, they said Miami's got some very explosive players, right? So obviously, the stats prove them right and stuff. But you know what? It's a loss. And believe me, I can't remember. I think it was 1990 when I first became head coach and director of operations for the Stampeders. We went into Toronto, and I think we lost. I'm going to say 68-17 or something like that, right? And at the end of the day, you got to just take it as a loss. And, if you don't, then sometimes too much creeps through and you got to move on. Okay, when you win big, you still got to move on and win the next game. You lose big, you still got to move on and get prepared to win the next game. So, that's football. And the nice thing about football is that the next game usually comes pretty quick.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, 1 point or 50 points doesn't make much difference. If you wouldn't mind,
they don't ask you by how much you win or by how much you lose. They say, "Did you win?" We said yes. They say, "Great." Did you lose? Yes. They say, "No, that's not too good. You got to be careful because you're going to lose your job."
Yeah, exactly. Would you mind telling our audience about this fundraiser, Wally, for Friday night's game, Sask at BC, and what you've graciously put on the line here?
Well, it's not something that I put on the line. My daughter, Christy, who I've been very close with in a lot of things, she works now for Make-A-Wish Foundation Canada, and she's the regional director for British Columbia and the Yukon. And, one of the big projects they decided to do nationally was to recruit, I think, 100 ladies, and the ladies were all going to try to generate enough revenues to grant the child a wish. So, because of COVID, there's 4,000 kids right today waiting, to be granted a wish. I think in British Columbia, there's over 800 kids. So when Christy approached me about doing this, I said, Chris, anything I could do to help. That's what I think my purpose is, being retired. So she said, how about if we do an auction or whatever they want to call it, to where you and I sit in the stands, we host two fans, and they pay for the privilege, I guess, of sitting with us. And I said, yeah, Chris, anything I could do to help would be great. So, they did the campaign, and, the nice thing about it is I think we raised almost enough to give a wish, but also WestJet, I think, donated 2 tickets where they fly. The Fairmont Hotel in Vancouver donated a night and a breakfast, and, we're going to buy the guys some jerseys. The club's giving me some sideline passes, all that stuff that makes the whole concept being a lot more fun. So, it's just a way to get the fans engaged, but also, too, it's a way to generate revenue so that, we can grant a child a wish.
and I see the fun part, because I've been following this, is everybody adding things on, like Farhan saying, I'll interview Wally on the sideline, throw that in there, and blah, blah, blah. The biggest Lions fan in the media. I'm not sure how he's allowed to get away with that, but he is, Farhan. But, hey, what is your take on the BC Lions this year? They're going to win the West or what?
Well, you know what? When you look at the league, obviously right now there's the top three teams, which is Toronto, BC, and Winnipeg. And, in the other clubs, whether it's injuries or whatever, has struggled a little bit. So, once the playoffs start, don't be fooled that anybody can win. But, they got a very, very exciting football club. They got a lot of weapons on offense. And as we saw the other night against the Elks, their speed on defense is tremendous. And, the difference between the other defenses not being able to control Ford and the Lions was their speed. So, it's going to be a great playoff run for the East and the West. And, obviously, if you can host the Western Final at home, that makes a huge, huge difference.
The numbers certainly bear that out. Wally, thanks for the time as always. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for all you've done. Enjoy the football, sir. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Well, always a pleasure to be on the show. And, I feel a little bit for the Riders. They've had a tough go, but, they got a good football team, and every game's a new adventure. So hopefully it'll be a great game, and hopefully Make-A-Wish is the big winner in all this. But thank you for your support, and thank you for giving me the opportunity, to share what we're doing here.
You bet, and thanks to Christy as well for what the two of you have done for our show and for everybody else. Thank you, Wally. Wally Buono, the CFL's all-time winningest head coach. When we come back, Virgil Holmes from Homestead Cards and Collectibles. We'll talk about that Premier Sports Card Convention coming up. Sports update, audience takeover. I feel like we're just getting rolling on this Monday. Live from South Florida on the Game Plus Television Network, WQE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody, we got a message just for the men. We're pleased to team up with Manscaped once again this fall to save you big. The worldwide leader in men's below-the-waist grooming has new products like the Weed Whacker for your ears and nose, plus the Old Faithful, the Lawnmower 2.0. It even has a headlight. Get 20% off and free shipping right now with the promo code The RP Show. The promo code is live now at manscaped.com. Here's a message for everybody. Coming up September 29th, 30th, and October 1st weekend is the Premier Sports Card Convention. Virgil Holmes joins us. Homestead Cards and Collectibles putting it on in Red Deer. And Virgil, as soon as I saw your name on the docket, I was excited to talk to you because I love cards, I love collectibles. How excited are you about the big convention coming up at the end of the month in Red Deer?
Oh, hey, Rod. Excited, very excited. We've been a long time coming. We've dreamt about this for quite a long time. It was something that we wanted to do. Central Alberta needed this, and we wanted to deliver. And yeah, it's a diverse show. We're excited.
Well, tell me about it. And by the way, I'll personally tell you, I'm pleased and grateful that you came to us to help get the word out for this sports card convention. So it sounds to me like this is the first that you've put on. What can people expect when they go to it at the end of the month in Red Deer?
Well, I think it's going to be a wonderful experience for everybody. Like I said, there's a bit of everything, and this is something we're building on year by year. We're just gonna come back next year with a little more to it, and the year after that. So we just want people to get in here and enjoy themselves, and yeah, it's going to be great.
Would you know right now what some of the items that will grab people's attention will be that are there? Because I know you're asking people to pre-register. What are some of the cool items that are going to be there?
Everything from sports cards, memorabilia, comics, Funko Pops, even, for crying out loud, TCG, Pokemon, everything, a little bit of everything, and it's gonna have a bit, like I said, a little bit of everything for everyone. So that's kind of our main focus, I guess, on this show.
Tell me where you got the idea for this from, then, please.
Basically, I've been a collector for most of my life, and I guess this is the thing. When I was younger, I was active in a lot of shows in the area, and as I got older, now this is the time. We kind of want to get awareness out there in this part of the country. Obviously, you probably know Central Alberta is a beautiful place, and we just felt like this is the time. Everything kind of lined up, and we wanted to make it happen.
Cool. Well, listen, now that I'm getting to know you, I could sit and talk to you for hours. And you talk about Red Deer being a special place. You guys had that dinner up there, Oilers and Flames alumni. I think it was last month, maybe 6 weeks ago. $750,000 were raised in one night. Ron McLean hosted it, and I was talking to Tim Hunter the next day. I said, was that the biggest fundraiser of the year? He's like, no, that's just one of them. So what it tells me is there's a lot of money around there, and there's a lot of people that love sports. So I think they would love your convention, correct?
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially getting into the sports cars business, the way we've grown is absolutely the trajectory's been absolutely up, and I just see it. I see it in a lot of people. I mean, obviously through COVID, everything exploded in the industry. People needed something to basically to look forward to and have fun with, and this is kind of this has kind of made this a lot easier. And yeah, no, this right between the two major hubs. We attract everybody. We attract people from down south as far as Lethbridge and north as far as Fort McMurray. So it's a wonderful place to be in. It's a perfect spot to have this. So
You said a key word there, though, is fun. It's just fun. I went to a place here a couple of weeks ago in Hollywood, Florida. It's called Hollywood Collectibles. They had an autograph signing with Matthew Tkachuk, and I just stood there and looked around, and which incidentally did like the memorabilia because it's fun. But one thing I've noticed, Virgil, is the industry's changed. Would you mind spending a minute on how it's changed from when you were a kid till now?
Oh, for sure. Especially growing up, the late '80s, '90s collecting. Basically, the boom started. Everything was affordable back then. Everything was fun to collect. There were set builders, and collected certain players. That's kind of what it was. It was a lot smaller scale as far as affordability. Now it's turned into more of a business. It's an investment. A lot of major investors have turned to sports cards to basically to give them an extra piece of investment that may not be the status quo, I guess. RSPs, all that kind of stuff. So it's added into that flavor. And of course, social media has really, really turned this into something that is a beast. I mean, you see a lot of these guys that major influencers buying up these cards and getting them out there. And it's built the hobby so much, and it's fun, yes, a lot of parts, but it's also an investment opportunity, and people take that into consideration as being maybe part of the future of investment opportunities. So.
Yeah, well, as you say, it is a hobby for most. I would say you're pretty lucky to make a career out of it, but I'm sure there's stresses that go with that. There's stresses and everything. Brian in Edmonton wants to know, BW in Edmonton wants to know, are there going to be buyers there this weekend?
There will be buyers. We'll have buying, selling, trading. There's going to be all the majority things. We've we did participate in the Edmonton Expo, and that's where Jessica, especially her creative juices started to flow. She wanted to have this for us and bring Red Deer the same kind of opportunity. So there will be buyers, sellers, trades. There'll be everything you can think of. We even have a very large deal section, trading section in the venue for this to happen. Basically to bring something for everybody, and that opportunity will be there. So.
Yeah, well, it's fun, man. I'm enjoying this interview. I appreciate you coming on, Virgil. And Jessica, obviously, is she the social media brains behind Homestead Cards and Collectibles? I get that sense.
Yeah, so I obviously for me, I'm the front line. I'm the people person. I'm the one that enjoys the connection with everybody. Also, online, I do a lot. We have a very large Homestead Sports Cards based break group as well. I do a lot of that in the evenings and in weekends. So yeah, she's the everything. She's the business manager. She's the accountant. She's the social media mogul. So yeah, she handles all of that while I just look pretty and do my job.
Well, you do a great job of it, man. Again, good luck with it. I wish I could be there next year, though. And Virgil, thanks for the time today.
Thank you very much, Rod. Very, very, very appreciative of this opportunity. And definitely, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Virgil Holmes from Homestead Cards and Collectibles. It's the premier sports card convention coming up September 29th and 30th, October 1st at the Parkland Pavilion in Red Deer, Alberta. Look them up online, all their social media, too. They got some cool stuff. We'll be back with Audience Takeover, Sports Update next. Next hour, Mark Steven, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders. We'll be talking everything with Mark and Jesse Granger from the Athletic Las Vegas. We are live on Game Plus TV. WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Virgil. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Don't know about you, but this first hour has been a blur. We're going to slow things down as much as we can the rest of the way, if we can. I'll get to these comments on the EMJ Marketing text line in a moment, and I apologize I didn't get to them when Wally was on with us. Sports update on this Monday. The NHL preseason continues tonight with 6 Canadian teams in action. The Maple Leafs host the Ottawa Senators. Elsewhere, the Edmonton Oilers visit the Winnipeg Jets. Jets beating them in a shootout last night in Edmonton. The Montreal Canadiens, home to the New Jersey Devils, and the Calgary Flames and Seattle Kraken meet in a pair of split squad games. Are we already looking ahead to tonight? I feel like I'm not done with last night. And this doesn't even mention where I'm going today. Doubleheader. Florida Panthers, Nashville Predators, 2 and 6 p.m. at the newly named Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise, Florida. I will be changing. There are a pair of games tonight in the National Football League. Monday nighters. The Philadelphia Eagles visit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a matchup of unbeaten NFC squads. The other Monday night game features the winless Cincinnati Bengals at home against the 1-1 LA Rams. Jays are off too. Sports updates brought to you by Common Crown Brewing. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5. Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale. 4 of them sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. So, the text line is always open at EMJ Marketing, 902-518-3033. EMJ Marketing will find the perfect keynote speaker for your event. And I apologize to Larry, who is watching in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He says, Rod, tell Wally that by having Chris, that's his son, as a guest coach years ago, helped him get his start as a coach in the CFL. Forever grateful. I'll pass that along, Larry. I want to say Papa Sweeter, because his son Chris goes by Sweeter. What does Larry go by? Probably Sweeter. Maybe Sweetie. Kirk in Toronto writes in. He says, the game of the week in the CFL is Toronto-Winnipeg, but the Argos are going to rest some of their starters. Thanks and have a good day. That's from Kirk in Toronto. We haven't even got yet to last week's games. You're already talking about this week's games. What I tell you, we covered a lot of the hockey, and I'm glad we did with Serena way back at the start of the show. Man, this has gone fast. But it's good. That's good. If it dragged, that would be a bad thing. But I didn't even get to these CFL games. I guess I could. Let's do it right now. Our CFL coverage is brought to you by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. I got a fridge full of them, and they're amazing. Trust me on that. How about that Rider game? I watched it. It was on CBS Sportsnet. I did not go to my buddy's high school game because I stayed home to watch the Rider game, and they scored on the opening drive, and then that was it. All downhill from there. Ottawa beat them 36-28. There's a poll on my personal Instagram, at Rod Pedersen Official. Go vote on it. Will the Riders make the playoffs? Like 54% saying, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. But that's only because Calgary and Edmonton are crapping the bed. Elks lost at home to the BC Lions, 37-29. Stampeders lost at home to the Montreal Alouettes, 28-11. Was it 4-10 now, the Stamps? Their voice, Mark Stevens, going to join us for the next 40 minutes of Hour 2. Mark Steven. It's not all going to be spent on the Calgary Stampeders, but I can guarantee you we're going to spend some time on it. And the Toronto Argonauts, it's not even fair anymore. They went to 12-1. And they beat Hamilton 29-14. So we're going to go through all of the CFL, all of the NHL, and whatever else we have time for. And the Athletic, Las Vegas's Jesse Granger is going to be with us as well from Sin City. So stick around after this brief pause, everybody, on Game Plus and the Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
More teams running their teams off analytics or less? Is it 50-50, 60-40? What would you say?
I'd say it's higher than 60-40. I think there are some teams out there that are hybrids. You know, you need a cross section. You can't all be numbers, and it can't all be, you know, blood and guts, old school baseball guys with leather necks. It has to be a combination of both.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Hour 2 coming at you live on Game Plus TV, now on Shaw Rogers Channel 230, all across Western Canada. 2 million more homes, plus Telus Optic TV. Channel 924. We had a lot of fun last hour. Wally Buono was with us from Vancouver talking about his wonderful fundraiser with the Children's Wish Foundation and his daughter, Christy. And I really enjoyed the chat with Virgil Holmes from Homestead Cards and Collectibles. They got the big show coming up in Red Deer. Homestead's putting it on. It's the premier sports card convention. And we're just going to keep the fun rolling here. Mark Steven comes in, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders. We're going to get around to the CFL talk on the Calgary Stampeders. But Mark, good to see you. I always appreciate you helping us out here on the show. But I want to ask you this. Do you have any sports memorabilia, collectibles, even a card? It's something that you would never part with. I know I've seen stuff up on your wall, like banners and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there was there one thing that you would never part with, no matter what you were offered?
Well, at first, I don't collect a lot by design, but just looking at the wall right now, there's some mementos, some pictures and that, but mementos, stuff that wouldn't be available in general public, but some mementos of different things, different pictures and images and that wouldn't be sold. But, you know, in terms of, lapel pins or anything like that, no, I don't really collect those. I just collect memorabilia to me, not memorabilia in general. So there you go.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. And the thing is, I got what? I was going to say, is there one thing that stands out?
Well, I guess I've still got my Kelvin Anderson bobblehead, and he last played in the CFL 20 years ago, so I guess that would be it. But no, I can't say there's any one thing that stands out, but I do keep stuff that's important to me as opposed to rating the store down at the Saddle Dome or whatever arena I'm in. But and I have some of that, but it's not a priority. I have some Stampeder stuff too, but again, not a lot.
Yeah, well, like you say, and what's important to you might not be important to somebody else. This
Exactly.
Alexander Barkov bobblehead beside me is very important to me. This CFL football is very important to me. But I'll say this. My George Strait autographed guitar strap that I got him to autograph, that ain't going anywhere. I got that thing locked up. That's my number one.
See, that's important to you, right? That's the difference.
Exactly. And I think it would be important to a lot of people.
Yeah. I just thought there's a haul around a lot of stuff, but there are some mementos I have received or I'm a part of, and those will stay where they are, and that's in our house.
Yeah, cool. Listen, you know that we're going to get to the football, but what did you think of the reaction of Flames fans last night with the 10-0 rout of the Vancouver Canucks? I mean, I'm a Flames fan. I'm a supporter, but come on, guys and gals. Really? I thought it was a little overboard.
Yeah.
10-0 over Vancouver.
Yeah, a little shocking. Vancouver should be the team more worried. I mean, basically it was the Abbotsford Canucks. Let's not kid anyone. And a lot of those guys, at least half of those guys will be in the opening day lineup for the Calgary Flames. But, they did play well, but let's not get carried away. It's September the 24th. I'm far more worried about how they're playing on March 24th. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, and that was my thing. I'm like, hey, it's all good. You guys celebrate it, but today, forget about it and move on because it doesn't mean anything. But do you think it was by design, confidence builder by Ryan Huska to ice that lineup? Or did the game just kind of go that way that they pulverized Vancouver and it was a legit score? It certainly wasn't running it up.
Yeah, truthfully, I think it's both. I think they wanted to get off on a good tangent and, expose the team to, the fans and the fans to the team. So I think that was part of the reason, but it also just got away. The Canucks looked a little lost at times too. So I think it was a combination of both. The Canucks just weren't ready for it. That version of the Canucks anyway wasn't ready for it. And I do think the Stampeder, at least the Flames, wanted to put their best foot forward. I mean, they did dress a lot of their top-end players. I mean, Nazem Kadri was out there. They wanted to showcase Matt Coronado, who's a highly regarded prospect, and they certainly hope will make the opening night lineup. So, there was a bit of both in my estimation.
Yes, and Coronado had a hat trick. John Ohm in Winnipeg writes in and says, preseason sports is fluff. It is, but for now, it's all we have. So, to one thing I talked with Wally Buono about last hour, and I want to get your take, is yesterday's Dolphins game. Down here in Miami, 70-20. You saw they speedboated the Denver Broncos, and they could have made it 73-20, but the head coach, Mike McDaniel, took a knee on the last possession and said, we're not going to kick a field goal. They could have, but he goes, that's not what I'm about. What do you think about that?
Maybe he has a relationship with some of the people on the other side and wanted to do it. I get it, but after a while, you've achieved what you wanted to achieve. There's no advantage to running it up and creating some bad vibes. So it didn't bother me too much in terms of what he chose to do. The 70 part is the part they should be worrying about, not the 3 they didn't get.
Yeah, well, and Wally interestingly said, he goes, every situation's different. You can't say whether he should or shouldn't have. It's a case-by-case thing, and Wally would obviously know. There's questions coming in here from the audience for you, Mark. I'll get to those in a second, but I was obviously watching the game, and I felt bad for Alex Singleton. I'll be honest, when I was calling Rider games, I hated him because he was so damn good. And he still is.
He is, yeah.
But I felt bad for him out there yesterday, man. How did you feel watching him be part of that?
Same thing. Yeah, same thing. It was a massacre. It's called it what it is. They were diving into the NFL record books for the last time, and how many times people have scored 70 points. It's very much a rarity. I think it was like the 4th time or something like that. So you can appreciate that he was involved in history, just not the kind he wanted to be involved in. So, yes, I did feel bad for him because for all the reasons you mentioned, he was such a popular and successful player.
Brian in Edmonton wants to know, Mark, is this the year that Wolf makes the Flames, or does he stay with the Wranglers? And for those that don't know, he's talking about Dustin Wolf, the goalie of the year in the American Hockey League last year, a former Everett Silvertip from Tustin, California. What are they saying? What are you thinking? Does Dustin Wolf make the jump to the Flames this year from the AHL?
Well, two things. First of all, he's playing tonight. I just saw the roster, and I'm going to go see Seattle and the Flames tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. So maybe tomorrow I can give you an even better scouting report. I think they would like for him to make the move because I don't think they want him going back to the AHL. And you mentioned his WHL success. At every level, he's dominated. So I think they'd like to get him on the roster, like to get him some games. You know, they'll also watch Vladar. Can he be traded? I don't know. But I think he can make the team, yes. One thing they can't do, though, is go with three goalies. They did that a few years ago and had to let another player go. So I would say that they want him to make the team. I think he can make the team. But it would create a three-headed monster. But Dan Vladar would be the odd man out, and they'd have to deal with that first as well.
Yeah, I don't know that they necessarily need Dustin Wolf. Mark, agree or disagree that goaltending is not a problem with the Calgary Flames?
Well, what they need, maybe not Wolf specifically, but need to start infusing some young prospects from their organization, and he would be part of it. Goaltending was an issue last year because I don't think that in many games Jacob Markstrom was anywhere close to as good as he could have been. So that's among the reasons the Flames missed the playoffs was his erratic play. So hopefully he can get it straightened around because he's got to be better. I mean, the Flames missed the playoffs. It was just by a handful of points despite all the problems that were surrounding the team and some seasons where some veterans just didn't get it done to the level they've done in the past and the number of one-goal losses that they had. So if Markstrom makes a few more saves, they win a couple more games, some of the other players step it up and play better, I think they could have made the playoffs. But they didn't, and they've got to look at all different facets of the team.
Yeah, so I didn't say it right. Goaltending was a problem. But I think Markstrom can be better. I mean, they're paying him $7 million a year. He's star money. So if he gets his act together, then I don't think it should be a problem. To the Calgary Stampeders, man, I enjoyed the summer in Calgary, but I didn't like what I heard from the fans on the street. They are, Mark, this new territory for everybody. You ever call this team at 4-10? Oh, well, I guess the 1 year with Dunnigan you would, but it's rare, few and far between.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Oh, no, there's no question. There's a lot of angst and frustration about it. At the end of the game on Saturday, in about the last 3 minutes, that place just went completely silent. I don't know if I've ever heard it that quiet. I think it suddenly hit people in the face that, this team is likely going to miss the playoffs. They're not completely painted out of the picture yet, but they're in a serious hole. Let's not kid anyone. And I think, a game that had hype, it was a beautiful day, a great boisterous crowd, and they just didn't have a very good game at all and ended up losing. And I think there's a lot of shock value in that. And, they got 4 games remaining, but how many of them will impact the playoff race? I don't know.
What do you think the problem is?
Well, total lack of consistency. Some areas play very well in one game and then another one just falls apart. There's been games this year where they haven't given up offensive touchdowns and lost. So where's the problem there? I'll go the other route. They've had 2 games where Jake Mayer, who obviously is under the microscope, has had 4 touchdown passes. They've won neither. So where's the problem? They've had different times. The return game is, or at least the coverage game, has not been good enough to slow down guys like Alfred in Saskatchewan and some others. They've given up a lot of touchdowns that way and some big yards. But other games, it's been very good. They've slowed down some people. And, it's just been very erratic the whole season that they haven't had all units coming together at the same time.
Well, the one thing you didn't mention, and I don't hear a lot of people mention, is Jake Mayer. And I never thought that John Huffnagel, Dave Dickinson, Mark Mueller would miss on this guy. And so the sense is that he's not part of the problem. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, he to an extent, he's as responsible as anyone. But like the plays on Saturday that turned the game were a couple of interceptions. So he's had some red zone issues as well. But he's part of the issue. But I think he can be part of the solution too. His overall stats look pretty good actually. But when you sit down and break it down more, the timing of turnovers and interceptions and that, and he's had at least through the first part of the season, a steadily changing cast of receivers. So that's been a problem as well. But no, I'm not going to be ready to toss him aside or anything like that. I think he's had a season that's been good, but could be better.
Mark Steven is with us, the voice of the Stampeders from QR Calgary. Let's play the what if game, which I don't usually like to play, but we're going to play it, Mark. What if Bo Levi was healthy for this week's game, Calgary at Hamilton? What do you think the scene would be like as you guys went into Tim Hortons Field?
Oh, it'd be really exciting to play him, and because Hamilton doesn't come to Calgary this year, one of those CFL scheduling quirks, and I'm not sure how they got there, but they did. So I'd love to see it. I think it'd be a fantastic game. Two teams fighting for their playoff lives. To have Bo Levi Mitchell as one of the centerpieces of it, I think would be fantastic, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. That's very unfortunate. It's been a really, really tough season for Bo Levi Mitchell that I'm sure he and the Ticats didn't see coming. But that'd be fantastic. I'd love to hope that, maybe it's a fluky thing that'll happen between now and Saturday, but I'd love to see it.
Well, no kidding. But that aside, it's a big enough game as it is. You must feel like this is a play. This is one you both got to have.
Yeah, for sure. I would say so. And, much like the Stampeders, I mean, Hamilton got to their record, too, by some fairly inconsistent play as well. At times they've looked just awful, but other times they've won. I know the quarterback had some problems. Their third quarterback actually had some problems. So, they've had their share of issues to deal with. There's only one team that started the same quarterback every game, and that's the Stampeders. So, Hamilton's had their share of issues. There's a lot of pressure on that team because they want to redeem themselves from the 21 Grey Cup loss with the Grey Cup at home this year. And, they're trying to fight for second place. It's not unthinkable, although it'd be really hard for, the Stampeders to catch them on a crossover. There'd have to be a lot of wins by Calgary and a lot of losses by Hamilton. So, it is possible. But for that reason, it is an important game for Hamilton, sure.
Just on the Stamps again for a second, and with Dave Dickinson, I was listening on QR Calgary when he was on with Jock. He does it every week, as you know. And at the start of the season, 4 or 5 games in, he was threatening changes, right? He was like, if we don't perform individually to what I expect, we're going to make changes. Did he end up making changes en masse?
Changes were made for him. He has 17 players on the 6-game injured list, 4 on the 1-game injured list. So, you can't get rid of players if you don't have somebody to substitute. Particularly the secondary has been hard hit. The receiving corps has been hard hit. Malik Henry has hardly played, and they signed him to a 3-year deal last year. And Jalen Philpott hasn't played this year at all because of a off-season training incident. And Cole Tucker, the first-round pick of the team this year, same thing. He has fought injuries. So the sentiment is correct, but you got to be able to execute it when you got those number of players sitting on the sidelines. The changes have been made for him. He doesn't have many options. He has to keep patching the lineup. And as I say, the secondary has been the number one challenge for him.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, and I do have my bell with me in Florida. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says a lack of consistency is a symptom of inexperience, youth, and injuries. So that's kind of the sense that I've gotten. But I also, when I talk to those fans, and it's not just at the stadium, it's around Calgary, there's heat on Dickie. He's not going anywhere, but there's heat on Dave. I assume you've heard it. That call-in show is vicious. It's vicious, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People are upset, and I understand it. He's never missed the playoffs as a player or a coach, so this is new territory for him. I mean, he's been almost continuously associated with the CFL since 1996, so do the math on that. That's a real impressive run. So, yeah, sure he's feeling it. Of course he would. And, you can tell he's feeling it when you talk to him as well, and understandable. The team is not anywhere close to where he thought they would be.
Mark, are you good for one more segment of 15 minutes, or do you got to run?
No, I'll be here, ready to go.
Okay, appreciate you. Mark Steven, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders, with us from QR Calgary. We'll take a brief pause and get into whatever you folks would like to discuss. NHL, NFL, CFL, Blue Jays. The floor is yours. And the text line is open, 902-518-3033 for EMJ Marketing. We'll be back in a moment on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, collectors, register for the premier sports card convention where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items. Taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, in the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. Don't be a last-minute Larry. We had Virgil on last hour. Go purchase your tickets ahead of time. That would help him out a lot. And then go enjoy. And speaking of Larry, as we bring Mark Stephen in, the voice of the Stampeders, longtime Calgary sports broadcaster, we have a text from a Larry. I just want to tell you this, Mark, because I have not told you. In all our time we've spent in Calgary the last 2 years, of the football people, you've been the nicest. Everybody's been really nice and accommodating, but you were number one. On the hockey side, Tim Hunter, man, just overly helpful, which is exactly the same way you've been on the football side. So I just want to tell you, from me to you and our whole, from our whole crew, I appreciate it. Larry Sweet writes in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's something. Well, the Oilers might not have thought that in the 80s, but he's mellowed with time. Larry Sweet writes in from North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and he says, Rod, tell Mark hello from Sweeter's old man. I missed talking with him during Chris's time in Calgary. Thankful to Calgary for giving Chris his first coaching job in the CFL. And we're talking about the current O-line coach of the Toronto Argonauts. He knows his stuff. So Larry watches every day, Mark. Any message to Larry?
Good. hello, and enjoyed it as well. And Chris is on the coaching staff of a heck of a team and probably the odds-on favorite to win it again.
I promised that I would turn it over to the audience, so that's what I'll do. Mark, I know you can handle it. You can think on your feet. There's Bomber Boy in Calgary has a couple of comments. Number one, he says, the NHL preseason in the land down under. Will the Rod Squad cry foul over the Aussies taking NHL spots from Canadians too? LOL. You got a European or a global punter there in Calgary, who I understand is a great guy. He follows this show, but I just said I don't like global kickers taking Canadians' jobs. I'm sorry. I'm not even really a union guy. But he brought up NHL to Australia. Good move or not in your mind?
I didn't have any problem. I thought it was pretty good, actually. Expose the game to a whole different world, a whole different audience. I watched some of it. I didn't stay up that late to watch some of it, but I was stunned when you looked around the stands, the number of teams that were represented. I mean, you saw New York Ranger jerseys there. I saw a Flames jersey there. You know, it's obviously very much a niche sport in Australia, but the NHL, I read, decided to go there is the online traffic from Australia, whether it's the purchase stuff or just follow, had really been taking off in the last few years. We're not ever going to see a team there, but I didn't mind it at all. It was unique, I got to say. And, watching a game at 10 o'clock at night starting was a little different, but certainly, why not? Why not give it a shot next year? I don't know who they'd send, or 3 or 4 years. I mean, it had to be a very costly venture, though, because they basically had to build an arena there. They had the seating in place, but nothing else was in place. But I thought it was fine. Give it another shot, expand the game, play a couple games there, and might have already seen the goal of the year, by the way. But anyway, go down there and give it a shot. Didn't have any problem with it at all.
That was the Travis Cooley goal of the Arizona Coyotes. But I don't think people understand, Mark, that the NHL is a global league, like the major four. It's a guy sat at Theo's, when I say Theo, we all know who that is, Theron Fleury's kitchen table, and he was opening mail from all around the world. He hasn't played for 20 years, and they're still sending him stuff, and I don't even know how they found it, but maybe he goes to the Flames and he picks it up from there. I don't know, but they're global stars, and I don't think people in Canada understand that. Bomber Boy also says, will a new stadium for the Stampeders bring back the fair weather fans in Calgary? A reminder, this is Bomber Boy in Calgary. He's in Calgary, but he cheers for Winnipeg. Yeah. Do you think that would help attendance?
Yes, it would. I agree. I think it's become a crutch for a lot of people that they just immediately get in their mind, Stamps games equals awkward and uncomfortable. For, as you say, the more casual fans, that it's not considered a great place to go. So, yeah, I do think it would make a huge difference. Of course, the obvious question that follows, I don't have the faintest clue if there's any momentum anywhere. I don't sense it. So that's your answer.
I knew.
The answer is yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew better than to ask. There are some NFL questions that have come in, and I'll get to those. But just with a new stadium doesn't automatically guarantee you're going to sell tickets. Like, we should spend a time on Saskatchewan. It's still the #1 region for viewership and listenership of our show, Mark, of online audio and on television. New stadium there, and they just are coming out of their lowest attended home game in the new stadium ever, that home loss to the Edmonton Elks. What is your take on the plight of the green and white right now?
Well, obviously, their situation isn't much better than the Stampeders. They seem to really struggle on the road, especially. They've had a lot of tough games. They're going to BC this week. They've had some quarterback issues as well. So we'll see what happens, see if they can hang on for a playoff spot. I think they will, but barely. But they at times have looked pretty good. But because of the quarterbacking issues and a few other things, they've struggled at times as well. So, at the gate, I'm not going to speak to it in terms of why, but it's become a bit of an issue. Maybe it's gas prices are too expensive for people to drive. Maybe the fact the team hasn't, played in a Grey Cup in a long time. That maybe is the other issue too. So I'm sure there's a lot of factors, but it's tough. Them and the Stampeders, let's put it this way. If you believe there's a battle for the final playoff spot in the West, both teams are going at it very, very, very slowly to make it to the finish line in a playoff spot.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the attendance of last night's Flames Canucks game, 15,452. That's not a sellout, but it's pretty darn good. They're not having a problem with gas prices to go to NHL games, is my point, in Canada, but well served.
But how much of Calgary Flames audience drives or takes the train as opposed to the Rough Riders who rely on a large out-of-town, following as well? That'd be my only thing.
You'd know far better than me. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of the global nature of sports, and a lot of people have perked up on that, Dean is watching in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he says, hey there, RP fam. Well, my Packers stunk on ice for 3.5 quarters before they woke up to get the win. Hashtag go, Pack, go. They were favored by a point, and they won by a point. That was against New Orleans, right? I heard Dan Patrick this morning say that this weekend in the NFL was drunk. Week 3 was drunk, that it was just crazy results. I've seen crazier weekends than this. Any takeaway from week 3 in the NFL in your mind?
No, I guess the Miami game was such an outlier. I guess that would be the one that really caught my mind there. And, I watched some of the other games at Dallas and Arizona, watched a fair bit of that, and enjoyed it very much. So we'll see. But it was a good weekend, but it's very early, and nobody's out of it, and nobody's clinched anything just yet. So that's it's good. But the Miami game was the one that stood out.
That was the one, but it's interesting that Dean in Green Bay talks about his Packers, who are not auditioning a new quarterback. They've handed the new quarterback the keys to the franchise, and so far he's delivered. But it's a 60-minute game. Look, it doesn't matter if it's NFL, CFL, or as our American friends say, Pop Warner. And some teams, you got to start all over again, teaching them to play a 60-minute game. Even in the CFL, you see it, right? That's why I couldn't be a coach, because I'd lose my cool. I'm like, how many times have I told you guys you got to play to the gun, right? That coaching's coaching. Doesn't matter what league it is.
Well, the CFL is very different. It's basically 57 plus the final 3. The final 3 is a different set of tactics and strategies and timekeeping rules, so it's different. But you're right. It's a lot can happen, and you got to play to the end. That's the only thing I would change if I could in the NFL. A couple things. Guys walking off the field with 35 seconds on the clock. I get it. If it's a 2-score game, nothing's going to happen. That just looks odd. That's all. I don't like it. It'd be like, say the Flames were up 10-0. It was a regular season game last night. With 3 minutes to go, they all go to the dressing room. No, you're paid to play the game, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little.
Would you have been surprised if Daryl Sutter had left the bench? If he was with 3 minutes to go, I wouldn't. And the reason I say that is Bill Belichick's left the game with time left on the clock. He seems like a Daryl Sutter kind of guy to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I can see a lot of the crossover there, why you'd say that. Yeah, so just odd. Never figured it out. I guess different timing rules, and there's different punting rules. The NFL kickoff rules are horrible. It's the most boring play in sports, but most of it's pretty good. But there's a few things I would change there.
Hey, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, I'd rather sit down to watch a CFL game versus an NFL game anytime. However, there's no doubt, league versus league. But Devontae Adams last night, you must have watched some of the Sunday game, like number 17 for the Raiders. The best of the best are really something to watch.
Oh, yeah.
The best of the
no
NFL. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very good. I mean, I'm certainly not, anti-NFL. I'm just very pro-CFL. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Serena was talking about large men and how fleet of foot they are. And I immediately, like 300-plus pounders in pro football. And I thought of Vince Young when we had him in a camp in Vero Beach, Florida. When we had him, he was probably 350 mark. He was overweight, but 6'5". And when he did a 5-step drop, he looked like a butterfly floating back. I'm like, this is godlike, God-given. Was there a guy that you had in Calgary that you thought, you just couldn't believe the physical ability of him?
Probably the one guy that was the easiest to jump out of the sort of the pack of hopefuls was Mark Boerichter a long time ago. He just stood out immediately, how tall he was, how graceful he was, and his hands. So he just jumped out right away. So that's the one guy that probably right away you figured was something very, very unique. I enjoyed Mark in 2 years. And I talked to him from time to time. He's now, believe it or not, a broadcaster part-time, an analyst for a Kansas City Chiefs radio station. So he's the one.
I see that he's still following the Stampeders pretty closely, too.
Oh, yeah. No, he follows. I've talked to him, and he's up on a lot of things, maybe not everything, but he keeps in touch. He knows he's got a good idea of what's going on. Very sharp guy, but he's the one guy that really jumped out immediately.
Wow. Well, I follow him on Twitter, and I see him commenting on the Stampeders from time to time, which I think is real cool. And I guess my last point as we get close to the end of our time is George Cortez. He told me he didn't make it up for your 98 reunion with the Stampeders there. But I was just talking to him not that long ago, and he was like, Rod, calling plays is hard. You know how he talks. He's always defending the coaches because he is one. Why wouldn't he? But how was that 98 reunion? I only kind of could reach out. I couldn't touch it. I just watched it. I clearly wasn't part of it, but it looked like a hell of a lot of fun.
Sure was. A lot of guys came in from out of town, guys that hadn't been around the team, even from Calgary, that were there. So the only negative, it was a little on the cool side and rainy side. I wish they could have changed that, and it cut short one of the stadium ceremonies they had planned just around the stadium. But overall, very nice, very thoughtful, and they had an afternoon session so fans could go see what was going on and talk to the different people. I know Wally Buono was quite moved by the whole thing because he's never truly been saluted by the Stampeders in any way. So this was one way to do it. He was part of this celebration. There was a lot of guys, some I hadn't seen in a while. Calvin Anderson was so excited. He said, we got to do this in 3 more years because celebrate the 2001 team. So, but it was really good. Jeff Garcia came up. You know, even though he's here for a relatively brief time, he remains such an enormous fan favorite. People were just flocking to him. But it was a really nice night all around, I got to say.
Oh, yeah. By the way, speaking of Wally, last hour he said he feels sorry for the Rough Riders right now. Do you believe that?
Okay, well, no. Wally. No.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's just trying to be nice about things. I don't think he'd have been too worried about them if he was coaching either the Lions or the Stampeders. So, no, I just think he thought it was a good thing to say.
He's not the most sentimental of people roaming God's green earth, I don't think. Okay, Mark, as always, I appreciate the time. Good luck on the playoff chase, man. We're following closely.
Yeah, it's a long, uphill, slippery, icy climb, but the road hasn't been blocked off just yet. But we'll watch the next few games here.
Good luck. The Hall of Fame voice of the Calgary Stampeders, Mark Stephen, joining us from QR Calgary. And we're going to Las Vegas next. We're going to talk a little Golden Knights and Vegas Raiders with Jesse Granger from the Athletic Las Vegas. We are live on the Game Plus television network across all of Canada. Also airing in 31 U.S. states on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Virgil. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Indeed it is, and the RP show continues here on Game Plus TV and WQEE Radio. The NHL preseason continuing tonight with 6 Canadian teams in action. Doubleheader here in South Florida, heading to that momentarily. Predators at the Panthers, 2 and 6 p.m. Eastern. Jesse Granger joins us from the Athletic Las Vegas to talk about the Golden Knights. They got their preseason going last night, a 5-2 loss at San Jose. Just following Jesse's feed on that. How you doing, Jesse? Welcome back. Are they ready for a new season in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. We are ready. It was a short summer after a long run to the Stanley Cup Finals, obviously. It feels like they were on the ice yesterday, but yeah, we're ready for camp. It should be a fun preseason. There aren't a lot of position battles here in Vegas, as they bring mostly the same team back, but a lot of things that we want to look at for some younger players that haven't gotten a chance to get on the ice.
Well, I think that would be the burning question for me to you is how much different will this team look than last? Because as we know, Kelly McCrimmon since day one churning to get the right mix, and then he got it. And I don't get the sense he's going to make a lot of changes to this roster from last year's.
No, they're going to look very similar to last year's roster. Only one skater that was, I mean, if you look at the lineup that won the Stanley Cup Game 5 against Florida, there's only going to be one player that from that squad that doesn't return for next year, and that's Riley Smith, who they traded to Pittsburgh in the offseason. And that's a big piece. I mean, he's the second all-time leading scorer for this franchise. He is a huge part of the power play, the penalty kill. He plays big 5-on-5 minutes. He was one of their best defensive forwards that they really counted on for those defensive zone starts. So those are big shoes to fill. But that's really, for Vegas, luckily, that's really the only spot they're looking to fill right now. Outside of that, you expect pretty much the exact same lineup with every last year. There are a handful of guys battling for open spot, though, so there's a lot to watch here in camp.
Well, I guess that would be my next question is who will be new? And before you answer that, I saw on your Twitter that you're a goalie guy. I'm a goalie guy. What was your favorite highlight of the Jonathan Quick era in Vegas? I mean, that was a dog's breakfast in their crease that ended up working okay. But what's the crease situation here right now?
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing Adin Hill and Logan Thompson are going to be the two goalies, and I expect them to split it pretty much 50-50. Whoever's playing better at the time is going to get the net a little more, but maybe Adin Hill gets a slight edge. He's obviously making a lot more money after that big raise in the offseason, but I would expect pretty much an even split between Adin Hill and Logan Thompson in net. Yuri Patera is now their third goalie. They obviously lost Jonathan Quick to free agency, and Laurent Brossoit, who was a big part of this team last year, he left in free agency and went back to Winnipeg. So a little bit of change in net, but they're still going to have their two main guys. In terms of who's battling for Riley Smith's spot and some young guys that are coming up, it's going to be exciting to see who ends up there. Paul Cotter is probably the favorite, and he had a good rookie season for the Golden Knights last year. He scored 13 goals in 55 games, so he's proven himself a little bit. He's got to tighten up some of the details. You know how coaches are with young players. They want you responsible in all three zones. So he's still got a little bit of work to do that side of things. But I think Paul Cotter's probably the favorite to win that job on the wing of William Karlsson, where Riley Smith used to play. But you also have Pavel Dorofeyev, who had not as much ice time as Paul Cotter did at his rookie season, but he still played really well. And then the most exciting one is Brendan Brisson, who's a first-round pick for this team in 2020, and he played his first year of pro hockey last year in the AHL. He's a sniper. He's got a great wrist shot. He's really good on the power play in that right circle where Riley Smith played. The defensive side of his game has a long ways to go, and he's got to prove to coaches that he's improved there. I think he probably starts the season in the AHL just because he's waiver exempt. That's the easy decision to make. But if he has a really big camp, he could force their hand. So I think it's really between those three. And then you have Max Comtois, who's here on a PTO for Anaheim. Coming from Anaheim after they didn't pick him up as an RFA, they decided not to qualify him. So Max Comtois is a big power forward that likes to go to the net. Vegas loves those types of forwards. So it's going to be interesting to see which of those four grabs this spot, but it's a good, healthy competition.
I'm wondering what the attitude of the franchise is. And I ask because I was with the Panthers this weekend at their training camp. And let's just say they're a confident bunch. They're going to raise a banner at their home opener for the Eastern Conference. What's winning a Stanley Cup done for the Golden Knights? Have you noticed a change?
Yeah, I mean, the confidence is certainly there. This team had a lot of guys that knew what it took to win a Stanley Cup. They brought them in intentionally for that reason. You look at like Alex Pietrangelo, Alec Martinez. They had plenty of cup-winning experience on this roster before, but now they've all done it. Everyone in that room knows exactly what it takes to win a cup. They had all been there and been very close, never gotten over that hump. So I think there's definitely a confidence, maybe a little bit of relaxation. Like, we'll see if that's good or bad going into the season. But I think this team had been so close, and they were right there on the doorstep knocking for 5 straight years, and they finally get over that hump. I think it takes a little bit of weight off your shoulders. We'll see how that plays out and what effects that has, but they definitely seem like a confident, relaxed bunch coming into camp here.
No, I get it. It's human nature, and I think they'll still be hungry, but there's no doubt winning that cup was going to change them a little bit. The audience wants to know from BW in Edmonton says, is the A's move to Vegas a done deal? How much are you following that story, Jesse?
I'll be honest, I don't do much reporting on that, so this is just from me reading other people in Vegas doing the reporting. It sounds like it's been a done deal, but I will say this. Following this situation the entire way through, the read I get is that ownership in Oakland is not the most stable group and not the most, I wouldn't take everything they say publicly exactly what they say. I'd take it with a little bit of a grain. It's been a very back and forth, odd kind of story to follow. I'm going to be interested to see if baseball works in Vegas. Obviously, hockey has worked really well. Football's working really well. I think basketball would do really well here. How baseball will work, we play a team here that sells the stadium out pretty well. So it seems like every sport wants a piece of Las Vegas right now.
For the longest time, they wanted no part of it. And that's a good way to end it. A good segue into my final question. You got solid ownership in the Golden Knights and the Raiders. And when I was around Vegas, the Golden Knights were not fearful, but they knew when the Raiders came to town, things would be different. Who's the most popular team in that town right now?
Oh, the Golden Knights. It's not close. It's interesting because people in Vegas love the NFL. The NFL is huge here. You go to any bar, any casino on a Sunday, it is packed. And I think the people of Las Vegas probably like the NFL more than they like the NHL. But most of those people in Vegas had NFL teams before the Raiders moved here, and they were strong allegiances to those NFL teams. The Raiders have a lot bigger task at winning over all those people and getting them to jump on the bandwagon, and they haven't been good since they've got to Vegas. It's been a while since the Raiders have been good, so that obviously hurts them, and the Golden Knights were good right off the bat. So I think that Vegas is certainly a football town, and they love football here. But I think the Golden Knights, one, because they were a brand new team that was born here in Vegas and not someone else's team that moved here. I think that helps create a very tight bond between the people of Vegas and the Golden Knights. And then obviously the inaugural season was magical. It's hard to not jump on the bandwagon when that story's happening here in Vegas. And then they win the Stanley Cup. So I think the Golden Knights have a much stronger fan base in Vegas than the Raiders do for now. But I think if some winning, they could go a long way towards helping them that, because this city does love football. So I'll go Golden Knights.
After last night, I don't think the Golden Knights have anything to worry about with the Raiders showing on Sunday Night Football. Jesse, love your stuff. Thanks. Great answer, by the way. Enjoy the hockey.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Jesse Granger from The Athletic, Las Vegas. Overtime's next. We'll get all of your questions and comments out, plus a sports update. Stick around. We'll return in a moment on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, it's Overtime, which is proudly brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Have you checked them out yet, by the way? If you haven't, make this week the time that you do. It's where skill and fun collide. You've heard me say it's an amusement park for hockey players. And as Randy has told me from Overtime Hockey Lanes, soon they'll have fooskie. Frankly, I think they should call it foos hockey, but who am I? It's not my place. Fooskie. coming to Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Check them out. Our poll question, by the way, today has been interesting. It's, should women be allowed to play men's sports? Reason being, Maya, I don't even have her name. Well, I have it here. Maya Turner, was it? Maya Turner became the first woman to play and score points in a regular season U Sports football game on Saturday. The University of Manitoba Bison's kicker made 2 field goals, including the game winner in overtime and the Bison's 27-24 victory over the Regina Rams at IG Field. The polls for Key Auto Group. Key Auto Group is driven by safety, experience, peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. And interestingly enough, 54% of respondents on Twitter saying yes, they should be allowed to play men's sports. Clark, do you have a YouTube sample size there? 56% saying no on YouTube. So talk about a polarizing topic where people aren't actually getting angry. I kind of thought that they might. But Trevor writes us on Twitter, and he says, why, when you already have men dominate in their own sports? Should be men versus men and women versus women, not what you identify as. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that comment, but I appreciate him commenting. I voted no because I think it's awkward for the male players. And if you want to get mad at me, you can. I've only been in sports my whole life, been surrounded by females my whole life. And the ones I know wouldn't want to play against the boys. Serena did, and she said it wasn't that much fun. She didn't keep playing. In the case of Maya Turner, were you out to make history? Because that's cool, too. I like being part of history, making history, sure. But again, say she missed a field goal and a guy had a chance to lay her out on a block as the return was coming the other way, and a guy backed off because it was a female. I don't think that's right. You should be able to play 10 out of 10. And because you look at the games, female trainers, female broadcasters, female referees, that's all cool, but you don't really see them on the field of play in a traditional men's sport. And having said that, we were in Estero, Florida, in the press box, and I made some comment about the female referee, besides Serena, so it wasn't disrespectful. And all of a sudden, the ref made a call on a goal that the goal judge, who was a guy, fell asleep, didn't even notice. She signaled a goal judge wasn't even paying attention. I'm like, she knows her stuff. She belongs in that role. I don't have a problem with females in those traditionally male-dominated roles, but as far as on the ice, on the field, I don't think it's right. So for that reason, I voted no. And I don't see how, I'm sure somebody would argue with that, but I think it's pretty sound reasoning. Sports update, NHL preseason play continues with 6 Canadian teams taking the ice tonight. Montreal hosts New Jersey. Toronto welcomes Ottawa, and Winnipeg opens its doors to Edmonton. Calgary and Seattle will play a pair of split squad games, with the Flames hosting one and the Kraken hosting the other. The Toronto Blue Jays are off today after earning a 9-5 win Sunday, taking a 3-game series over the Rays. They now hold a 2-game edge over Houston for the second American League wildcard spot. Toronto opens a 3-game home set Tuesday against the Yankees before hosting Tampa in its final regular season series later this week. Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo was evaluated for a concussion after Vegas's 23-18 loss to the Steelers Sunday night. It was unclear when Garoppolo was injured because news of the concussion was announced after head coach Josh McDaniels' post-game news conference. Sports update is for Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. EMJ text line 902-518-3033. EMJ Marketing will provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Brian in Hudson Bay, who watches every day, and I appreciate you for doing so, Brian, the Moose Capital. He writes in, he says, hey, Rod, even Bill Belichick says the best catch Travis Kelce has ever made was up in a suite yesterday. LOL. You know, yeah, right. We made it through 118 minutes without talking about Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce, which, by the way, I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to be an ogre. I almost had the poll question today of who's bigger, Taylor Swift or the NFL? Because that was a question that came up today here in South Florida. People were talking about it. What's the bigger? Yeah, tomorrow's poll, Clark says, what's the bigger entity, Taylor Swift or the National Football League? Immediately, I'd have said the NFL. And how do you gauge that sort of thing? But they're both, I think, multi-billion-dollar corporations with a lot of followers. So I thought we'd make it out of the show. We didn't. Thank you, Brian in Hudson Bay, because I don't care about it at all. See you tomorrow at noon Eastern.
McFly, hello.